So last week we talked about our sense of innate belonging as children of the earth. And this week we're going to continue with earth element by acknowledging the stability that comes from that kind of ground up belonging. So I recently was just like having an exhausted day, go figure, and I was sitting outside for meditation, and that was very restful. But I noticed that when I stood up and started walking around barefoot in my grass, there was just something so grounding and stabilizing to my body, my nervous system, my emotions, my energy, everything. Like when I went back inside from that, I just felt so much more clear and so much more stable. And that's really the gift that the earth is giving us. It's, she's so big and so stable. Her size and her gravity make it impossible for us to go floating off into space, which is really great. And that's really also that size and gravity can be very reassuring if you're feeling somewhat fearful or worried about anything, to go outside and feel the earth beneath you. So our bodies are made as the same raw materials of the earth. And so there can be the remembrance that we are really earthy ourselves. Like we can think of that as our bodies are our own personal little earths that we walk around with. So in yoga and in life, like we can walk around drawing up, or practice drawing up the stability of the earth into the earth of our bodies, into our actual physical form. When we do that, it helps us, create physical, mental, emotional stability. In a balancing posture, we can feel the stability of the earth beneath and again, pull that up and find a way to be in relationship to it, find the strength from that to stay balancing. So when we're more in touch with stability, but we're not grasping at it, we want to be in that place where we're stable, but we're not trying to, overly grasp at it, then it's easier to deal with when life is inevitably unstable, which is like a lot of the time. When we're in a place of general stability, not trying to fight and control it, then it's easier to deal with ups, downs, currents, movements, change that is happening. It also helps you stay grounded and connected to your heart. When you're feeling physically stable, it's easier to stay in your heart and not get up in your head, get all worried about things. So that belonging that we talked about last week, it's unchanging, it's stable, it's always here. And when we connect to that, we connect to the gravity and draw it into ourselves, it helps us to open our hearts and feel more peaceful as we go through life. And that's what we're doing all the time as we come to yoga. So let's start again by taking a seat that's going to support you. You can sit up on your blanket or blocks and sit on your sitting bones. So the sitting bones, you want to feel them like, I think of them sometimes like two potatoes or something, or two sharp elbows that really just stab down into your blanket or blocks. And out of that stabbing down, then you can rise up. So lift up through the sides of your ribs, up under your armpits, and then take your shoulders back. Excellent. And then as you're ready, close your eyes and turn inwards. As you turn in, feel the stable seat beneath you. The earth is not rocking you, it's not shaking, it's not having gravity and then gravity disappears. No, it's stable. So feel that beneath you and let your pelvis settle down even more, a little heavier. And at the same time, lengthen up through your spine as if you were drawing that stability of the earth all the way up to the crown of your head. So you have this form, this physical earthy form, and then within that, the breath moves. So feel your breath. And gently bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment to form an intention for yourself. How do you want to show up? And we'll chant Om together 3 times. Welcome your in-breath. Om. allow head to stable beating heart within. Release your hands back onto your thighs and you can lift your head up. And we'll start standing again this week. You can stand in a place again where you can take your arms out to the sides and you have enough room to stretch out. Again, we'll take a moment to place the feet well. Place your foundation. So look down to your feet. Bring your feet to inner hip distance. So remember those sitting bones we were just sitting on that I said are kind of like potatoes or elbows pointing down. You want your feet to land right under your sitting bones, your heels under your sitting bones. And then look down and make your feet truly parallel. So from the center of the ankle to the second toe, that's parallel. Then bring your hands to your hips. Lift up your toes. Feel the earth beneath you. And with the toes lifted now, press into the four corners. So the big toe ball mound, the inner heel, fan out to the pinky toe ball mound, and then the outer heel. So those 4 points are on the mat. Bring your toes back down, but keep those 4 points on the mat. And then imagine like a plant drinking water up through the roots, that you could pull up the stability of the earth all the way up through the legs, through the calves, through the upper thighs, all the way into the space below your navel, right in the core of your pelvis. And that's the work we're going to do today, this pulling up from the earth to find stability right in the core. So keep that sense of pulling up. Take your arms by your sides and let's just breathe sweetly. Inhale, reach out and up overhead. And exhale, allow the arms to come back down. Inhale, you reach out and up, staying stable on the legs. You're not rocking or moving around. Exhale, arms back down. Just go 1 or 2 times at a pace that feels natural to your own body. So each of us has our own natural rhythm, our natural pace for going through life. And when we can align ourselves with that pace, we'll actually feel a little more stable inside. If you're always at a rush, you're always moving slowly, won't feel as good. Next time you go up and pause, reach both arms up. Take hold of the left wrist with the right hand and arc over to the right, but don't let your left foot come unplugged from the mat. And really press your left foot strongly down. Even the left heel. Good, inhale up in the center and switch sides. Take hold of the right wrist, arc over to the left, and same thing. Really press firmly down through the right foot. So the right foot doesn't come unplugged. It actually gets even stronger, even more stable. Inhale, come up, and exhale. Just float the arms back down by your sides. Good. Now, if you're not at the top of the mat, you can come to the top of the mat and set yourself up for sun salutation with your blocks nearby if you need them. And then again, look down and bring your feet into that sitting bone distance apart and parallel to each other position. Lift up from the feet, through the calves, through the thighs, front and back, all the way up to the core of your pelvis, and bring your arms by your sides, Tadasana. Be stable as a mountain. And take the arms out and inhale, reach up. Exhale and fold over. Now, if you need to, you bend your knees or bring your fingertips to the blocks, or just keep pulling the stability of the earth up through your legs. Inhale and reach your heart halfway forward. Exhale and step your left leg back, come into a lunge and pause. Take a deep breath in, let yourself drop into the gravity beneath you. So there's a bit of a holding by the earth that's happening, but then stably pull your legs up and towards the core. So earth is there, but we also connect to the core. Bring your back knee down. You can keep your left hand on the mat or put it on a block. Same thing we did last week. Take your right arm forward and then up and back. Exhale. Allow your torso, you're going to take a couple of arm circles. Allow your torso to twist with the arm circle. So the legs stay stable, nothing moves in the legs, but your torso twists and turns. You look with your hand, to your hand, excuse me. Go one more time forward and up and then pause. Turn your right palm to the right Twist your belly towards the right. Take your shoulders back and look up towards your right palm, right thumb if it's possible. And exhale, bring your right hand down to the mat. Take your left knee back to meet your right and come to forearm plank again. So elbows over the, shoulders over the elbows, walk your feet back, forearm plank. Now, how do you draw up from the earth? So make your arms firm, make your legs firm. And imagine that even as the earth holds you, you pull the strength of the earth up into your core. The fiery core of the earth comes up into the fiery core of your belly. Then lower both knees, uncurl your toes, and set your belly down on the mat. Let's take the hands back and interlace your fingers. Push your toes down into the mat. Lift your shoulders up. And inhale, lift your heart up. Locust. Exhale and lower. Bring your hands under your shoulders and go to downward facing dog. Remember last week we talked about the placement of your hands as well. 4 corners of your hands. So index finger knuckle, inner rim of the palm where the thumb is, pinky finger knuckle, and the outer corner of the palm beneath the pinky finger. Feel those 4 points and then pull up through your arms. Powerfully pull up as if you're going to pull your hand off the mat. All the way back to your shoulders. We'll do like we did last week. Slowly walk your hands back towards your feet. Feel the mat with every placement of the hands. Let your heels come down. Bend your knees and then bring your hands onto your knees. Stretch your spine long. Knees stay bent. Yeah, I call that marathon runner. It's like you just ran a marathon. This is what I would look like. Actually, I'd probably be laying on the floor. Now push strongly into your legs. Take your arms up. Inhale and stretch up. And then bring your palms together in front of your heart. We'll take our walking meditation to the top of the mat. The idea being that you feel the earth, feel how stable it is beneath you, and draw the stability up your legs until you get to the very top of the mat in Tadasana. Excellent. And release your hands down. Feet are parallel, and we'll go again. Inhale, lift up, reach up. Exhale and fold, Uttanasana. Again, the knees can be bent or straight as needed. Stable legs, stretch your heart forward. Inhale. Exhale, step your right leg back, come into lunge, pause. First, feel the earth beneath you. Our ancient home, our ancestral home. It's not going anywhere. And then pull up from the legs into the core of your pelvis and stay stable. Bring your back knee down, but don't let the whole back leg just fall asleep. It still keeps that firmness. Then right hand on the block or on the floor. Take your left arm forward and inhale, sweep it up and around. And it exhales as it goes down and forward. So just play with your breath, being really full, and turning your body with your arm. The challenge is to keep the legs pretty stable and not let the hips turn and go with you, but just turn the body. We'll eventually end up in a twist later today, and so this is starting to get you ready. Next time you go up and pause, turn your left palm towards the long edge of your mat. Take your shoulder back as much as you can, left shoulder way back. Yes, good. That helps your hand. So always think of, if your arm's going up, think of its shoulders going up, shoulder going back, and that's what's going to help the arm go up. Good. Exhale, bring your hand back down. And again, step back to forearm plank. Elbows under the shoulders, hands interlaced. Step the legs back and find stability. When the legs are more stable and the arms are more stable, then the core gets stronger. It's more stabilized as well. And it helps you hold this pose. And you can feel it. I mean, when we started this, it was really hard, and now you guys are pros. Exhale, lower the knees, lower the chest, come on down. Let's again do Shalabhasana. So put one finger, the other finger on top, whichever one feels weird. With the legs steady, inhale, lift your shoulders, lift your heart, rise up. So when your legs are really stable in this pose, it actually protects your back and helps your heart lift. Exhale, lower. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Curl your toes and go to downward facing dog again. Feel your hands connect to the mat. Pull up from the steadiness of earth, pull the stability of the earth up through your arms to your heart and up through your legs into your heart. So up over the hips into the heart. The heart is the center of gravity in downward facing dog, and that's why we pull to there. Slowly walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend your knees, let your heels come to the mat. Feel the hands, feel the feet, meet the mat, and then hands on the knees, stretch the arms straight to marathon runner pose. Oof. And then stretch the legs, take the arms up, inhale. And again, we'll take the walking meditation to the top of the mat. So you just walk slowly forward, feel each step. Feel the shift of weight. And you may also notice there's some wobble in the foot. And that's just pointing to some ankle instability, which is all right. Just by slowing down, we invite those tiny muscles in the ankle and foot to get a little more stable. Stand again in Tadasana, feet hip distance, arms by your sides. And inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold, touch the mat. Inhale and reach your heart forward. Step your right leg back again. Lunge. Again, feel the earth beneath you and then pull up from the power of the earth. So legs are strong and it's like you're pulling on stockings up the legs or a wetsuit. Now you can either bring your back knee down for more stability or bring your hands to your front thigh, lift up your torso. And then you got to take your tail down a little bit. And then lift your arms to come up. Maybe you keep your hands on your hips. It'll be a little easier to balance. Or take both arms up. So pulling up from the earth to feel more stable, then push back down to let yourself stretch out a little bit more. Good. Bring your hands to your front thigh. Lean down towards the mat. This time we'll step back to plank pose if that's available to you. So you step right back to the top of a push-up, or you can do this with your knees down. We're just testing. What's the stability in the shoulders? What's the stability in the body? Lift your head slightly so it's not drooping down. There you go. And then lower your knees and keep your shoulders high as your chest comes forward between the arms to the floor. Press the tops of your feet down and back. Push your hands down, keeping the legs steady, stable. Lift the shoulders, lift the heart, curl up in cobra pose this time. So again, the stability in the legs helps to support an opening of heart. Spin your elbows back. So instead of out to the sides, they go back. Yeah, good. Exhale, lower. And go to downward facing dog. From both hands, pull up through the arms to the heart, center of gravity. From both legs, pull up from the earth all the way up over the hips towards the heart, center of gravity. And you'll feel more stable. You'll just feel stronger here. Now look forward between your hands. Let's step the right foot way forward up to the top of the mat. There we go. Feel the earth beneath you. Get heavy in the foot, the right foot, and then squeeze and draw up. Again, you can put the back knee down or keep it up. Bring your hands to your front thigh, lift up. Take your tail down, lift your belly, lift your heart, and rise all the way up into standing crescent, we call this one. Good. So see your front knee, point it straight ahead. And from the pelvis, push down. Center of gravity in the standing poses is the pelvis. We push down. Then bring your hands back to your front thigh, lean forward, and step forward to standing forward bend. So you can reach the fingertips for the mat or the blocks, and then bring your left foot forward, standing forward bend. Inhale and reach your heart out halfway. Exhale and fold over. Take your arms wide, come up to standing. Inhale. And join the palms at your heart center. Exhale. Stable. Release your arms by your sides. Excellent. Okay, so it's steps so that you are facing the, take a wide stance, have your 2 blocks handy. And if you are taller and, hamstrings are tighter, you're going to take your 2 blocks stacked like on each other towards the end where your right foot is. So this is for triangle pose in a minute. So if you don't need 2 blocks for triangle pose, you could just put 1 block on either end. Or if you know that you want 2 blocks, then put 2 blocks at the right side. Okay. Then step your feet out nice and wide. This is a more stable position even than the feet closer together. Like you'll just feel, oh, I'm really stable. Nothing's going on here. If you go out a little bit too wide, though, you'll start to feel a little unstable. So you want to find the sweet spot, which is generally under your wrists if your hips can handle it. Bring your hands to your hips if they're not there already. And take a breath. Feel the earth under you, holding you up. Turn your left toes slightly in towards your belly. Turn your right leg all the way out towards the short edge of the mat. And then take a deep breath and firm the legs. Yes, good. Bend your right knee now. And as we did last week, keep tracking the right knee out towards the second toe and third toe, not towards the big toe. And bring your right forearm onto your right thigh and pause. Yes. Feel the earth beneath your feet and even reach your left pinky toe, the back foot. Reach that pinky toe out towards the floor. Good. Now squeeze the legs firm and pull up towards your belly. When you feel that, now turn your belly towards the long edge of the mat. Turn your ribs towards the long edge of the mat, towards me, Bo, towards the screen. There you go. Take your shoulders back. And then you can take the top arm up to the sky, the right arm up towards the sky, and even up and over your ear, if it'll go. There you go. Keep your shoulders back. Everybody guide your right knee towards the right. That's it. Good. And then from your pelvis, press back down lovingly into the earth. She holds us all the time. We just press back into her stability. Now we're going to make a transition here to the next pose. So bring your right hand back to your hip, look down towards the floor, and left hand to your hip. Take your right hand onto a block or onto the floor on the outside of your right leg. Yes. And then slowly pushing down firmly into the floor, stretch your front leg straight for triangle pose. If you need to adjust where you are on your mat, that's fine. One of the things to notice is that when your back foot is closer in, you'll feel very stable, but you'll feel so stable that you feel stuck. So remember last week, we had it pretty wide. You want to sneak the back foot back, and now imagine you're pressing back on the wall like we did last week for triangle. Pull up from the floor with the legs strong. Spin your belly towards the long edge of the mat, so spinning open away from the block. Shoulders back. Then take your top arm to the sky if it's available. And again, anytime the arm goes up, think of your right shoulder going back. Trying to stack the right shoulder back up over top of the left, and that's going to help your arm go up. Yep, so the shoulder should be further back than your wrist on the right hand. Good. All right, now get really stable in the legs. Feel the stability of the earth rising up through the legs, holding you. Bring your right hand to your hip, push down into the earth, and inhale to come up. Good work. All right, turn your right toes to parallel. And then turn them a little bit in towards your belly. Turn your left toes out, switch your blocks if you need to the left side. Excellent. So when you turn the legs, make sure you're not turning your hips with it. So your hips are not going to point towards your left leg. Now, the hips are generally pointing towards the long edge of the mat. They're not going to fully face, but more towards the long edge than the short edge that's ahead of you. Yeah? This is a lateral pose. Take your hands to your hips. Deep breath in, and from the earth, draw power up through the legs to the core of your pelvis, fully stabilized. Then bend your left knee Left knee's moving towards over the ankle and out towards the second and third toe. So you're not hovering over your first toe. Bring your left forearm to your left thigh, lean your torso out. Nice and long. So one thing that can happen is if you don't have room, you might need to step your feet a little bit wider. Wider stance will give you a little more space to get into this pose. All right, with the legs stable, now turn your belly towards the long edge of the mat. Turn your ribs towards the sky, take your shoulders back, and then it's the left shoulder stays way back. Take your left arm over your ear. Parjvakanasana. Then from deep inside, stretch out longer. Again, reach your right pinky toe towards the mat. So you stay connected to earth. That's where stability comes from, to be able to open and shine out fully, freely. Take your left hand to your hip, look down at the mat, take your right hand on your hip, left hand to the block or the floor or blocks, and then push the mat away so the front leg goes straight for triangle pose. Yep, so Bo, I think if you walk your back foot further away from your front foot, you might have greater access. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That's awesome. Squeeze the legs firm, draw up through both legs. And again, belly turns towards the long edge, ribs, heart. Take the top arm up with the shoulder back. So think of taking your right shoulder way back over your left. And that'll help you get to the more full extent of your Trikonasana triangle pose. Breathe, feel the stability. Now make the legs extra stable. Right hand to your hip, push down, inhale, and come up. Nice. Bring your toes back to parallel and walk your feet back together. If you can get there. All right, so we're coming down onto the back. We have a couple of things down on your back. Don't go to sleep, but it does feel good to get on your back. And bring your strap with you. So strap is handy, but it's not the very first thing we're gonna do. First, we'll go to our twisted abdominals, and we've done these before in class plenty of times, but you wanna lay back on your back. Feel the nice support of earth beneath you. She's always right there waiting for you. And then rock your pelvis, your front hip bones, forward towards your feet so that your low back comes a little bit off the mat. Yeah, so we want that nice curve of the low back. That's the natural earthy relationship of the spine. Then hover your feet up off the mat. Bring your knees together or squeeze a block between them and bring your feet parallel to the floor, your shins parallel to the floor. Yep, knees are over the hips. Excellent. Arms can go out to the sides if you have room. Now, squeezing the legs, take both knees over to the right, but don't touch the mat. You just go over and then engage your abdominals, bring the legs back up into the center, and then take both legs over to the left. Don't touch the mat. And back up to the center. And we're just going to go back and forth over to the right without touching the floor, and up and over to the left without touching the floor, and up. Now, one thing you can play with as you go back and forth is over to the right is bringing your knees a little closer to your elbows and back up to center and over to the left. So they kind of come towards the left elbow and then back up to center. Just go like 2 more times to each side. Again, go lean towards your own natural pace. If you want to make this harder, you stretch your legs. No need to make it harder. Just keep it right where it is. 1 more time each side. Shoulders try to stay down as best you can. And then once you've completed that, bring your legs back down. And just for a moment, reach your arms up over your head towards the back of the room. Maybe even stretch your legs forward off the end of the mat. And let your belly come into a nice long straight line. Feels good. Now look around for your strap. We're going to remember that sensation of the belly turning in a moment, and we're going to open up to get ready for it first. So take the strap, take the right foot, up into the strap. You can try the strap at the base of the heel, like right where the heel and arch meet. And then straighten your right leg up. Notice the heaviness of your the pelvic bones. So it's almost like your sit bones try to rock down and touch the mat. They're not going to, but it's almost like they do. And then from the strap, through the calf and shin, through the knee, through the thigh, let the top of the thigh pull down into the hip socket, as if it could reach down into the floor, into the earth. And that has the quality of grounding you. It also helps to align your hamstring, which you may notice. Hamstring has lots of sensation a lot of times, so we're just noticing that. Also now notice if your shoulders are crunched up, let them settle towards the mat if your strap will allow. Peel your toes towards your face, push your heel towards the sky. Take the strap just in your left hand. So strap is only in your left hand now. Take your right leg just a few inches to the left. For most of us, that's a lot of sensation in the outer hip, possibly in the outer leg or hamstring, maybe even in your calf or your low back. Maybe somewhere else, I don't know. But the legs do so much to keep us stable on the earth, and if we don't help them out, they can get so stable that they get immobile. We want them to be able to move with freedom. This helps. Bring your right leg back up to the sky, take it out of the strap, release it down onto the mat, and just feel both legs for a moment. And then switch sides. Bring your left foot up into the strap. You can again bring it towards the heel, where the heel and the arch meet. It's a little bit more grounding position. Yeah. And once your left leg goes up, you can straighten your right leg. Now here's the thing, your left leg does not need to be straight up towards the ceiling. If it's too much on your hamstring, it's totally fine for your left leg to be lower towards the floor. You want to go to the place where you can feel some stretch in your hamstring, which are those long muscles on the back of your thigh. Those muscles have to do a lot of growing in our life because when you are born, your thighs are a lot shorter than they are when you're a grown-up. And so they've been through a lot, but it also means they have the capacity to really stretch. So from the strap, through the ankle, through the calf, through the knee, to the thigh, and up to the ball of the thigh bone in the hip socket. Pull towards the earth with the leg. And at the same time, push up through your heel, peel your toes towards your face. Take the strap just in your right hand and just take the left leg a couple of inches to the right. So you want your left hip and buns to stay down. So it's not a lot of movement. Moving it all the way over is a different pose. Not a lot of movement, usually a lot of sensation. And I'm naming it sensation because that's all it is. You're just having sensation in your body. It doesn't have any particular meaning, just an experience. Next, inhale, bring the leg back up into the center. And then releasing it from your strap, bring your left leg down onto the floor beside your right. And notice both legs now. What you may notice is a quality of aliveness or energy in the legs, and that's really important. It means there's like better blood flow happening, more, and you have a greater sense of those legs, so it's like more consciousness in your legs, which means they stay healthier. So that's good. All right, so bend your knees now. Roll to your right side. You can put your strap out of your way, and come up to hands and knees. Just roll over, come all the way over to hands and knees. You're gonna take a twist on hands and knees. I think you've probably done this. It may just have been a little while. So take your left hand a little more towards the middle under your nose. And then keeping the hips pretty stable. So squeeze the leg muscles, sweep your arm your right arm, to the sky. And it's a twist. And that can be with your hand on your hip or your hand in the air. And then thread your right arm under your left, sweep it way off to the left side of the mat, and right shoulder comes down. Now you can lift your left elbow up like a window. Yep, good. A little twist. So hug the hips. So slightly hug the hips towards each other, the outer hips towards each other. And that's going to keep the hips from twisting, but then you can push into your left hand and turn your rib cage a little more. Then press your left hand down into the mat, lift yourself up, and come back to hands and knees, unless you've knocked yourself over, which happens to the best of us. You all right? Whew. Okay, so we'll try the second side. You bring your right hand into the middle. Inhale, sweep the left arm up. And you're trying not to turn your whole hips and let the hips shift. And that can either be with your hand on your hip or your hand in the air. Good, and then thread the left arm underneath. You go onto the shoulder. Left side of the face comes on the mat, and lift up on your fingertips on the right side like a window, so the elbow comes up to the sky. You'll notice that your hips want to shift to the right. Hug the hips back into the middle. And that'll shift where the twist is and put it in the middle section of your spine and keep you a little more stable. Then press your right hand back into the mat. Lift back up to hands and knees. Very good. Walk your knees back a couple of inches on the mat, or your hands forward if you need that space. Come up to downward facing dog again. Pull up through your hands. Yep. Pull up through the legs. And then walk back again to that pose I call marathon runner pose. You can take your feet a little wider. Walk your hands back, feeling every placement of the hands, touching like it's important. When your feet come down, bring your hands to your knees. Knees are bent. Stretch your spine, lift your heart, and then inhale and slowly come back up. Whew. Okay, grab your chair. You're going to bring the chair to the top of the mat. The seat of the chair faces you. There we go. So you just want something that's stable. It's not going to move around on you. Put your, so you're going to turn and face your chair. Put your right foot underneath the chair, about in line with the, well, you can go pretty far actually, a little bit so your heel is in line with the front legs, depending on how your chair is built. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your hips towards the chair. And then you might have to bend your right knee a little. Just sneak the left leg back some. So, you know, whatever makes sense for you. Your feet are ending up about 3 feet apart maybe. Left toes turned pretty far in. Yeah. With the hands on the hips, turn the hips towards the chair as best you can, and then squeeze the legs. Now, stability of the earth. This is kind of a wobbly position. You can probably feel it. So feel the feet on the floor and bring stability up from the earth through the legs to your pelvis. Now extend your spine towards the chair. Keep the legs really stable and bring your hands. I'm going to put them on the outer seat of my chair because my chair will allow. Yeah, there we go. So what I'm hoping for is that you feel some stretch in your hamstring again. And see how the legs get really straight. And then your spine, with the legs straight, see how much you can extend your spine so it's really long. You can look down over the seat of the chair. Stable, stable, stable. It's nice to have the chair here because it also brings the earth up. Okay, now stabilize the legs. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Hands to the hips. and slowly come up. And that's kind of the hardest work of the whole thing, coming back up. All right, step your right foot back from under the chair. Step your left foot to the same place where the right foot just was. So the right heel is in line with the front legs of the chair, or even further forward. With your hands on the hips, you can step your left foot back, I don't know which one, right foot back, excuse me, and turn the right toes in, and then turn both hips to face towards the chair as best you can. They may not go all the way, that's all right. Big breath in, pull up from the floor into the legs, and then extend your spine out, 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 and bring the hands again to hold the outer edges of the chair or onto the seat of the chair, depending on what you need to do for the kind of chair you have. Excellent. From both feet, feel the four corners of the feet stable on the earth, and then pull up. When you pull up, you'll feel your muscles hold the bones. Really stable. And then lengthen your spine. So you don't need to worry about like bowing way over. Think of the spine going long. So the hips go back as the spine goes long. Keep stable in the legs. Push into the legs now. Really, really stable. Hands to the hips. And then slowly come back up. And again, like I said, that can be the hardest part. Excellent. Step your feet back towards each other. Okay. So now you, depending on the height of your chair and the height of your body, you might need a little bit of support with this. We're going to use the chair to create a twist. But if you are my mother or my aunt and you're height challenged, you might need to stand on a block. So if that's true, you're just going to stand on a block and put your other foot up on the chair, but you don't need to be this high. So it's up to you. If you need that extra height, you just put a block under you. If you don't, you're going to step your right foot up onto the seat of the chair. Yeah. So it would be nice if everybody's leg was pretty much parallel to the floor. But if that's too, that's not quite going to happen. But if you feel stable, that's good. All right. So again, from the earth up the left leg, stability. And don't let the left hip swing out to the left. Hug it in. Then, tall spine, take your left arm up. So my right hand's on my hip, left arm up. Take your left hand to your outer right knee. There we go. And then you're going to lean a little forward, see if you can slide your left elbow to your outer right knee. Yep. Good. Now lengthen your spine and slowly twist to look towards the right. There we go. I can't see you, but I'm going to assume you're doing great. So the hips hug in to keep you more stable. Last step, if you want to, take your right arm straight back and look back towards your right thumb. That's harder. It challenges the stability a little bit more. Good. Bring your hand back to your hip. Look back towards the front and slowly stand back up. And take your foot down carefully. Yep. Good. I think we made it. All right, let's try the second side. So right foot is a little bit off to the right and back. I'm about 18 inches from my chair, maybe 12 inches, 18 inches. Really just enough to get your left foot up into the seat of the chair and feel like your right foot's underneath of you. Yeah. Hug your hips in so the right hip doesn't swing out to the right. Hug it in. And then feel for stability. Up the right leg into the core of your pelvis, everything stable. Keep that, take your right arm up, inhale. You're going to bring your right hand to the outer edge of your left leg. And this could be enough. Like if bowing forward felt unstable, just stay upright. But if you can, you slide the arm down more until either your forearm or your elbow comes to your outer knee. And I'm just letting my arm come up. Yeah, there you go. Good. Then twist. So you push your elbow into your knee, twist your belly towards the left side now. Lengthen your spine, belly towards the left. Stable on the right leg. And then if you feel very stable, take the left arm back towards the wall behind you. And if you feel extra stable, look back towards your left thumb. And as you can feel, that requires a lot more stability. Good. Keep the legs strong. Bring your left hand back to your hip. Look back towards the front. And then slide your hand up. Lift your torso up. And step your foot back down. My right leg feels like it is glued to the floor at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, the blocks are tricky. Okay, so if you were standing on a block, you can take that out of the way. And here's what our final pose is going to look like. I will show you, and then we'll do it. We've done this before in class. So I'll show you with my left leg forward so you can see, I can see you watching. But the right, we start with the same position we were in just a moment ago. Get stable from the earth up. You're going to extend and come down. So this is where we just were. I'm going to change it slightly by taking my right hand to the middle of the chair, left hand to the hip, and then I'm going to twist towards the side. So same, it's like combining the last two poses. So it could be here, or if you can get this shoulder back, so the key is this shoulder has to be back, then you can take this arm up. If this shoulder struggles to get back, totally fine. Just work on getting the shoulder back. Maybe the arm will go up eventually. Yeah, so it's there. Revolved triangle pose, okay? All right, so let's give it a shot. Let's take the right leg forward first. You come out the same way. So right leg in between the legs of the chair, right foot forward. Left leg steps back. Yep, and you're about 3 to 3.5 feet apart with the legs, and they can also be apart from each other side to side. They don't need to be right front and back. Bring your hands to your hips and turn towards the chair. Now, the earth is there stabilizing you, so feel the earth underneath and pull up from her to your pelvis. Then extend your spine over, bring both hands onto the chair and pause. You find yourself in this position. Now, left hand comes to the center of the chair, right hand to your hips. Slowly spin your ribs and heart towards the right. Right shoulder back. Hips have not turned, hips stay. And then keeping stable with the legs, maybe take your right arm up if it doesn't bother your shoulder, or just keep working your right shoulder back. Either one is fine. Big twist. Twists are really purifying for the body. So it's really useful in the springtime. We want to get rid of sluggishness. Exhale, bring your right hand back down to the chair. Left hand back out to the side. Stabilize the legs and inhale to come up. Good. Right foot back, left leg forward in between the legs of the chair. Last one. Again, the feet can be a little bit apart side to side. So don't set up with your right heel right behind your left. Take it a little out to the right. Hands on the hips, lengthen up, twist towards the chair, and then come forward. I'm too far forward. Yep. Long spine. Good. Keeping the legs stable. Bring your right hand to the center of the chair. Take your left hand to your hip. Then twist. So the twist, the legs stay stable. The twist is in the torso. Good. This is a challenging pose. Just stick with yourself. You've got it. And then left shoulder back as best you can. Maybe left arm up. Maybe not. Yep. See what's available. Feel the stability of this pose. Even though it's wonky and it's sort of unstable and weird, there's a lot of stability here holding you up, the earth and the chair. Excellent. Bring your hands slowly back down. Turn back to face the chair, both hands on the sides. Squeeze the legs firm, push into the earth. Inhale and come up. Awesome. Step your feet back in towards each other. Woo! And you can take your chair away. Good work. That's revolved triangle. Parivrtta Trikonasana. So now you can come down onto your back. Ooh, yay. Just let that go. When you come down, feel the earth here, like ready and waiting. She's ready to hold you again because you belong. Bend your knees. Hover your right foot up off the mat and then cross your right ankle over your left knee. Open your right knee to the right. Stay there or draw the left knee in towards your chest and clasp behind the left thigh. And breathe. Let the breath expand in your rib cage on all sides, not just in the chest, but all the way on the side ribs and into the back. In the back, it's like the breath reaches for the earth. our stable home, unmoving, unchanging. Well, deeply changing, but moving so rapidly and so bigly in such a big way that we don't even feel it. She has so much gravity. Then release your leg, set the right foot back down on the mat. Switch sides, hover your left foot up, cross the left ankle over the right knee, flex your left foot, and draw your leg in, right leg in, or you can keep the right leg on the floor. Just check in with your own hips. So I like to come out to the hips after Revolved Triangle because that can be pretty intense on the outer hips, and this can feel nice for some people. Hopefully that includes you. And just breathe. Isn't it so good that we have these hips constructed as a ball and socket where there's so much mobility and yet enough stability that we can walk, we can move, we can do the things we need to do, sit, stand. The body is quite remarkable. Then release your right leg back down, take your left foot back down, and then just draw both knees in. And you can either take that into a happy baby pose, or like a little ball, or just holding the knees, maybe moving the legs in the hip sockets. Breathe deep, let your body start to get heavier. And now as that feels complete, softly release your legs to come to Shavasana. So stretch both legs out along the mat. Yep, you're gonna lay down, I'm gonna come close and chat. And if you want any props, just for your comfort or ease, you can add the props that you need. Once you've gotten set though now, let your body get very heavy. Body gets extremely heavy. And as it does, imagine the earth comes up underneath like a cradle to hold this heavy body. It's heavy because it's dense. It is made of the same material as earth. So allow for the body to rest down into the floor. Become the recipient of your breath. So the heavy form is breathed with this lightness of breath, enlivened with breath. Let the breath help you to settle even more and draw you towards your center, that essential part of you that has always existed and will always exist. Just drop in and rest in your central core for these next several minutes. Let your breath deepen. Surrender your body into the stable support of the earth. And then gently begin to move. You can start again with fingers and toes. Then stretch out a bit. Feel how the earth is there holding you and gives you the freedom then to move and stretch in any direction, however feels good. Oh, so supportive. Keep that feeling as you bend your knees and come over onto your right side. Press your hands down, come up to seated. You can sit up tall again. Good, and just close your eyes again. Feel for, once you've gotten yourself settled, feel for the sitting bones, like 2 elbow points, just pressing down into earth. Imagine a strong column of earth rising up underneath, supporting the sit bones. And that transfers all the way up the spine, the head on top of the neck. Bring your palms up in front of your heart now. May this practice grant you even more stability. Stability in your body, stability in your mental realm, stability in your emotional realm. And may that stability transfer out into the world. We'll close our practice this evening with just a single round of Om. Welcome your in-breath. Namaste. Alrighty. Thank you all so much for practicing today.